So just a couple of quick questions to wrap up, Leo. Um, my first of the two questions is this: if you could have an online lesson with anyone in the world, who would it be and why?
Wow, you've put me on the spot there. Live or dead? Does it matter?
Let's say either.
Okay, either. I mean, it sounds silly, but for sure, if I could meet Albert Einstein, that have a class in quantum mechanics from Albert Einstein, I wouldn't understand any of it, but that would be, I think, quite a thing. Modern day, who would I like to have an online class with? I think all of our kind of spiritual idols here at the Profs in particular is Salman Khan, right? What he did for kind of the image and online education was not a thing until the Calm Academy came along, roughly, in the early days of kind of YouTube. The problem was he did such a good job. He basically completely broke the market because he made all business models, particularly for kind of online courses, extremely difficult after that. Once you've created an amazing product and made it free and added so much value to people's lives, and I'm sure it, sort of enriched him per se, but it made it made it very difficult for other people to come and replicate that. No, we don't touch the people always say to us, why don't you move towards content creation? We have a small army of very clever people who work for us, and it wouldn't be much of a throw to kind of put some money behind it and say, let's create something like that, right? Like literally an online content platform for, you could even move towards being a digital university, right? The difficulty there is that nowadays people kind of expect content to be free, and so you kind of move towards advertising business models, and that's not particularly exciting. But I would love to sit down from him and hear firsthand, I think, his experiences of creating a market, something we've never done. We're not reinventing the wheel, and I think BitPaper is kind of innovative, and Spires is certainly very innovative, but we've not reinvented the wheel. These are all things that have been done before. Tutoring companies have been done before, online whiteboards have been done before, VoIP platforms have been done before, even online tutoring platforms have been done before. We're kind of taking existing business models and ideas and trying to perfect them or make them better, or add value to people's lives, I guess. What those guys did, and Salman and his people, they actually created an entire new modality and an acceptance of education that wasn't there before. And I think that would be insightful to understand how to replicate that, if nothing else.
Okay, final question.
Mm-hmm.
What's it like working with your brother?
Better ask him. Our relationship has definitely changed, not for better or worse. It's definitely matured. We were older brother and younger brother. I'm 6 years older than him. He's the baby. I've got an older sister on top of that. But I think that it is it's probably led to both our best days and worst days in life together. I think all it's done is accentuated the volatility of our relationship in some sense. We have a great relationship. We're extremely close. We always have been. We don't fight. That's not true. We are chalk and cheese. And anyone who knows us well will attest to that. I'm more brash and I'm more forceful and I'm stronger willed typically, although I think he's catching up, having worked for me for a few years. He's kind of learned from the best maybe, but I've always been a lot more bashful in my approach. He's very diplomatic, he's very calm, he's generally better liked than me, and the two of us together basically disagree on everything. Every idea I float, he disagrees with. Every idea he floats, I disagree with, except for the good ones. That has been both, it's never led to tension, but it's been our biggest strengths and our biggest weakness, I think. I mean, great things have come from it. The outcome is great, right? We're very happy. We've, I think, added a lot of value to other people's lives in the last 3 years, certainly more than our own, frankly. There are, huge numbers involved these days, and the biggest beneficiary of that has been tutors. I won't be crass and put numbers on it, but I've generated, with my interaction with Richard and Rory, our third partner, and of course all of our staff and all of our contractors and tutors, but the value generation for tutors has been huge. I mean, millions and millions of pounds into the pockets of tutors who probably otherwise would not have had that income, and that makes us kind of very happy. So that said, on a micro day-by-day basis, we disagree on a lot. We disagree on everything fundamentally, I think, and that's great because it creates, particularly with three partners, it creates three partners is, to any budding entrepreneurs, you need three people to start a business. You can't do it with less. Two is Two can be done, but it's tough. The great thing about three is you always have a democracy, because I will float my idea. I mean, it's never heated. We never fight or scream or shout. It's the opposite. We will raise an idea. Someone will put forward a counterfactual. We always play devil's advocate to each other's idea. I think that's because we're brothers. But then we always have a third partner who will sit there, listen to everything, of course, make his own independent contributions. But ultimately, will fall down on the side of one or the other, and that's a democracy, and we're done. I would say 50% of things we all agree on off the bat. I would say 50% we disagree on, but fall back on kind of, that democracy to make it work. Our relationship's grown up. I'd say the sad side, that's the good side. It's been productive, and we worked hard, and we've learned loads, and we bounce off of each other, and we complement each other fundamentally, yin and yang and all that. The bad side of working with family or brother is that your social life diminishes with that person. I think we spend all day, our relationship used to be purely social. When I had a day job and he was a private tutor and I was a banker, we would see each other purely socially, whether it was when I play PlayStation on the weekend, or go out for a beer, or go to a football match, whatever it might be. So our relationship is social. Now, of course, our relationship is work-based. And of course, when you spend 12, 13 hours a day with someone all every day, probably the last person you want to socialize is that person. So, same as well, I've gone into business with one of my best friends, and, same that way, same interaction there. You swap the social for the work, and then you socialize less. And so you have to, and we do from time to time, say, let's drop it all and let's just go out tonight and let's forget everything. We have our grievances with each other, and we disagree, but let's drop it all and let's have a beer and play some PlayStation again like the good old days.
Excellent. All right. Sounds good. Well, thank you so much, Leo, for spending time talking with me today. Really appreciated hearing more about what you're doing. And on behalf of tutors around the world, thank you for all your contributions. And yeah, thank you again for taking time out of your busy schedule to share all that with us today.
No, amazing. Thank you so much. Absolute pleasure. Always here to help. And I love engaging with the community. I don't get enough time to do it, but it's always a pleasure. And, that's what we do it for, the tutors fundamentally. And, I hope we have added value. And I think, not everyone, but I think on average, I think we have, basically, and we will continue doing so. There's a lot left yet in this, in the momentum of this train. I guess watch this space. We've come a long way in 3 years. I'm 32, Richard's 27. We've got a long way to go in terms of our own personal and professional journeys. So I hope to have as many of you along for the ride as possible.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you very much.